Sean Diddy Combs, aka Puff Daddy, has been sentenced to 50 months in prison over the whole Cassie abuse case. Is this too much? Is it not enough? Is it just enough? Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Sean Diddy Combs, aka Puff Daddy. I'm gonna call him Puff, being sentenced to 50 months in prison over the whole Cassie abuse case. Now, this is 4 years, 2 months, and they're going to give him credit for time served, which is 12 months. So that'll bring it down to 38. And in the federal penitentiary, you got to do at least 80% of the time, which would bring it to about 2.5 years or so. So when you combine his sentence with what he's already done, that'd be a grand total of 3.5 years in prison for this. Is that too much? Just enough? Not enough? I think it's excessive for what he was convicted of. The Mann Act. What is that? If you take someone across state lines to engage in prostitution, that is a felony offense. It's not supposed to be used like this. And the last time it was, the person who was convicted, Jack Johnson, got pardoned posthumously by President Trump in 2018. Now, before I go any further, let's get to the actual news clip first. We're going to start with ABC News. Then we're going to get to the lawyers. Of course, I will link to this and everything else in the description box if you want to see it and hear it without my commentary. If you're on IG, Facebook, etc., visit a link in the bio. Go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Rap mogul Sean Diddy Combs learning his fate in a Manhattan courtroom, sentenced to 4 years in prison for his conviction on 2 charges related to prostitution. Combs addressing the court visibly emotional and choked up, saying, quote, "I've been humbled and broken to my core," adding, "I beg your honor for mercy." The judge responding to Combs, saying, "You have a chance to show your children what true change and accountability look like." Today's sentencing follows the 2-month trial over the summer with dozens of witnesses and heart-wrenching testimony. And tonight, how Cassie Ventura, Combs' ex-girlfriend at the center of the case, is responding. ABC's chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky, leads us off.
Once larger than life, a global superstar and pop culture icon, tonight Sean Combs sentenced to 4 years in prison after he was convicted of transporting girlfriends and male escorts across state lines for prostitution.
Let's just pause for a minute. That's not really a crime. That's not really a crime. You could do that. It's not really a thing. Listen, I've read articles on mainstream media sources, New York Post. It was one girl who was a tennis player talking about, okay, well, to supplement my income, I'm charging guys to go on dates, $1,000. What do you call that? And she's all over the country and all over the world doing that. So if she can do that and it's fine, and they promote it on the mainstream media website, I don't understand how he's going to prison for it. But then again, I do. Let's continue.
Combs standing before District Judge Arun Subramanian, pleading for mercy. "I've been humbled and broken to my core. I hate myself right now. I am truly sorry." Combs adding, "I know that I have been changed for the better. I can't change the past, but I can change the future." The judge rejecting Combs' request for time served, saying the sentence needed to send a message that violence against women must be met with real accountability.
Let's pause. What was Puff convicted of? The Mann Act. Nothing about violence, nothing about none of that. Abuse, violence, nothing about none of that. Because everybody wanted to point to the tape of Puff Daddy beating up Cassie in the hotel. I'm not saying that's right. But he was not charged with that. There was never any charges for that. Nobody ever brought anything forward as a result of that. Puff Daddy did pay Cassie $20 million, and she got $10 million from the hotel where the incident happened. You got $30 million, and he did a year in the penitentiary or jail or whatever you want to call it, the federal detention center. So what more do you want?
The sentencing capping a dramatic day of emotional testimony. Combs sobbing as his children crowded around a microphone begging for his release. Son Justin asking the judge to give my father a second chance. Daughter Jessie saying he is still our dad and we still need him present in our lives. Combs rested his head in his hands as the defense played this documentary-style video portraying him as a doting father and philanthropist. Combs pledging, "I'll never put my hands on another person again." but prosecutors telling the judge Combs is not a changed man, that he did horrible things to women and inflicted life-altering violence, pointing to this 2016 hotel security camera video shown at trial that depicts Combs attacking Cassie Ventura. He hit her, he kicked her, he threw her into walls. The defendant grossly downplays the violence, but it happened and it was real.
Let's pause. Now, what he did to Cassie, inexcusable, horrendous. However, she got made whole. $30 million. I mean, what else would be $30 million, and he went to jail for a year. I think that should be enough. Now what's happening is you're trying to send a message and you're trying to get him sent to prison for things that you were not able to convict him of. If you say he's all these things, then let's go to court, let's have the trial, and convict me. If you can't convict me, that means I beat the case. Whether you think I should beat the case or I'm a good guy, bad guy, it don't matter. I beat it. You can't sentence me for a thing that I was not convicted of, let alone charged with.
Tonight, Cassie Ventura's attorney telling us while nothing can undo the trauma caused by Combs, the sentence imposed today recognizes the impact of the serious offenses he committed.
And Aaron Katersky joins us now from outside the courthouse here.
All right, I'll pause it right there. Let's go to the lawyers and see what they said, because I think what the lawyers said is right on point. And yes, it is Brian Steele right there with the purple mauve tie, who was also Young Thug's lawyer. Okay, let's keep on going.
Out of New York City, we are hearing Diddy's attorneys speaking to the media after he was sentenced earlier today. This is live.
Yeah, we are planning to appeal.
Man, I want to hear them, bro.
We are planning to appeal. We think we have strong bases to appeal.
Yeah.
The strongest basis is that the jury reached a verdict on coercion. It found there was not coercion, and I think the judge said coercion today as a basis for a sentence at least a dozen times. We think that is unconstitutional.
Yeah.
We think that a jury verdict should mean more than our jury's verdict seems to mean, and so we are planning to appeal.
I agree with that. The jury said no. That was a charge on the table. The coercion, it was on the table. Jury said nah. But the judge said yeah. It's like, oh, okay. So I guess the jury didn't make a difference, huh?
Absolutely. Filed a cross appeal. What would happen in that regard if they filed a cross appeal and then Sean Diddy Combs get a higher sentence?
They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that, because that'll just be, at that point, now you're just being what they call malicious prosecution.
Not get a higher sentence, and they're not gonna cross appeal. We're gonna appeal. We think we're right, and they'll respond to the appeal, and it'll be decided by the Second Circuit as soon as.
Tell us about the conversation you had with your client after the sentencing.
Consensual. The judge clearly thought the sexual encounters weren't consensual.
Because he's biased.
What did you make of his remarks?
He's biased.
If anyone, I'm happy to go. So we think that's just absolutely inconsistent with the jury's verdict. I mean, the jury's verdict was resoundingly clear. There was no sex trafficking. There was no racketeering. Everything was consensual. Everything was adult, which is why he was convicted only of the prostitution offense. What we feel happened today was that the judge acted as a 13th juror,
yes,
one that we did not choose, and that he second-guessed the jury's verdict.
I agree. I agree. Now, look, I'm no Puff Daddy fan. I know some of y'all in the comments, oh, it's because he black. Man, look, I don't care what color he is, because he did the same thing to Donald Trump. When you're trying to manipulate the law, when you try to do certain things to punish somebody, rather than just following what the law says and giving real justice. Real justice is, okay, you have rights. You're entitled to a jury of your peers. Your peers come back and say, not guilty. The judge says, I think he is guilty. I'm going to sentence him based upon what I feel he should get. And I'm not really going to take what the jury decided into into the equation. It reminds me of what they did with President Trump, talking about, oh, he overvalued his own property, therefore that's somehow an offense. What? How are you going to tell me I overvalued my property to the point where it's a criminal offense? It's just my opinion. Nobody has to agree with what I say my house is worth. If you go on Zillow right now and look at your house, it'll give you an estimate of what they think it's worth. Now, If it's not worth that when you go to sell it, are you going to sue Zillow? Nah, that's just their opinion about your house. The same thing with Trump. That's an opinion about what his property is worth. And in case of Puff Daddy, you say he did this, that, and the third, but all you got him on is a Mann Act. And as I close, I want to say this. The Mann Act was created in 1910. It was originally called the White Slave Traffic Act. The point of it was to prevent white women from becoming human trafficked and involved with interstate prostitution. That's what it was about. 1913, the black heavyweight champion who everybody was jealous of because he was beating the white guys, Jack Johnson, had a white prostitute girlfriend. He sent her some money allegedly to go from Pittsburgh to Chicago or some American city to American city. For that, he was convicted of violating the Mann Act. A totally consensual thing between a man and his girlfriend became a criminal offense. He had to flee to Europe for 7 years. He came back to the USA and he did 1 year and 1 day at Leavenworth as a result. 2018, President Trump pardons him. Tell me how that's different than what's going on right now. The only difference is Puff's reputation and character that precedes him. But my thing is, just because a guy is not a good guy in the opinion of a judge does not mean that you're able to sentence him for whatever you want based upon a thing that shouldn't even be a crime at all. The Mann Act in 2025 is not to be used the way it was used in 1913 or with Puff Daddy. It's to actually target pimping and pandering, the criminal stuff that happens on the street with girls on drugs, girls that are being kidnapped, minors. It's for that, not for this. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about what happened here with Puff Daddy? Do you think he deserves to get all the time he got? And if you think that way, what is that based on? Is it based on what he was convicted of or what your opinion about him is? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I'm no Puff Daddy fan. I think he has done some really bad things in his life. But what I think and what I feel about him is irrelevant when we're talking about the law. He was convicted of the Mann Act, which really, in this case, is nothing. If not for that, he would have beat the case. And whether we like it or not, if you are able to succeed, if you're able to win, you won. And that's it. You can't have some judge come back later and say, "No, you really didn't win. Here's your sentence." That is unfair, unconstitutional. And if people celebrate this, it can be the same thing done to you or anyone else you love. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.